Hi there, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It is October 11th, 2022. I'm Trey Crowder, and that's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? I got a fun show today. I'm looking forward to it. I got a bunch. It's basically all dumbasses. Oops, all dumbasses.
Oops, all dumbasses. I like it.
Like, yeah, but we talk about normal dumbasses, then some true financial dipshittery that some bunch of right wingers are getting up to. Before we get started, though, last week Biden announced he's going to pardon all people convicted of federal weed offenses, federal personal use, which is like almost nobody's in prison for that. It's basically
Right.
just affects people's job prospects. They don't have to check the felon box on the fucking form anymore, which is good.
As I say, that's
Um,
still, that's still cool.
Fox News literally put a headline up said "Reefer Madness," which is so funny to do in 2022 because like
Right.
70% of people favor legalizing weed. It's the biggest layup of an issue in
Right.
American politics, other than like should the sun come out tomorrow. And
Yeah.
if we're still trapped. I mean, I know why. It's because booze companies, drug companies, and cops don't want it. But the reaction was funny because I saw a bunch of centrists being tepid about it, even some Democrats, which is weird to me. Democrats, a lot of them seem to have internalized the idea that it's like getting more votes by improving people's lives is somehow cheating.
Well, that wouldn't be
Like,
fair to improve people's lives. I don't know
yeah,
what they think the straight and narrow path is supposed to be, like the way you're supposed to go about it. If not
yeah.
that, I often wonder what these people like think their job is. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like they understand it at most points.
Jobs to win elections, and then having won elections, do nothing until it's time to win an election again.
Right. Yeah.
The I did, but congrats. Like, I'm wondering, like, I'm trying to figure out who exactly gets federally convicted for weed possession. I guess you get caught with it in like a federal park or something. But most of those people plead out; they don't do any jail time. But yeah, it's just about the felon box and trial applications, and it's stupid. Like, you caught smoking weed while you're camping, and now you can't get hired for work. It's so fucking it's dumb. I do. Was the last time you had to take a drug test for a job, Trey?
I used to, regularly when I worked for the federal government, and I actually tried to
Mhm.
do a thing with our union. I mean, I didn't really try to do a thing, but I like talked to the union rep about how like this could not have been more clearly outing myself to this guy, but he was cool. But like I had found this thing where there was I don't remember it now. I knew the case at the time. There was a Supreme Court case from like the mid 90s where the Supreme Court had found that it was unconstitutional to drug test politicians or something like that, like,
Mhm.
congressmen and stuff. It was unconstitutional. And so my whole thing was like, why are they allowed to do it to us? And, like it always pissed me off because like, I would tell other people I worked with, I'd be like, if our boss showed up at your house and was like, all right, just take you and the family, come out here and stand on the yard for a while. We're gonna go in there, me and the boys, and just look through all your stuff, all your possessions, make sure everything's on the up and up, and then we'll be out of your hair. You tell them to go fuck themselves and get a warrant, but for some reason they can do that to the contents of your bloodstream or your bladder, and everybody's just totally fine with it. It used to be a whole thing with me that no one cared about, but yeah, I had to get tested for that job, but not since.
Dude,
That was a
American
long
employees.
answer to a simple question, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a thing I used to get fired up about.
like American employers are so like the word fascistic gets overused, but I don't know other way to describe it. Like this isn't the sports thing, but like when Deflategate happened, and everybody was mad at Tom Brady for maybe taking half a pound of air out of football and whatever. But he eventually got suspended 4 games. What he actually got suspended for was the NFL wanting to go through his cell phone,
Right.
and so instead he fucking smashed it. And they were like, "You're suspended 4 games because we couldn't read your text messages," and everybody thought that was appropriate. I'm like,
Right.
"You're my fucking boss. You can't read my phone. Fuck you, no." So anyway, Tom Brady doesn't usually hit for me, but he was correct on that. Speaking of football,
Hold
small.
on, wait a minute. Hold on
Oh,
before
sorry.
we do it. Why'd you ask about getting drug tested?
Oh, I just
Was
can't
it?
remember. I think my first job out of
Oh,
college, probably the last time I got drug tested for a job. But
yeah.
we're still doing drug testing, even though it's legal in like 30 some states or something. Which is like, but I understand you don't want somebody high driving a forklift.
Sure, I get
But
that too, but to me, it's always been like if it's impacting their job, like if they're fucking showing up high or something, and you
Mhm.
call and they think, like drug test people for call, it's just like it should be just like getting a warrant or something like that. If you have probable cause or their job in it seems to be a danger or something. But I just don't think that it's anybody's goddamn business to just randomly for no cause at all drug test people in pretty much any job, as far as I'm.
Yeah, I remember this guy named Ed. Who was a heavy. I worked construction. I was 1920 for my dad's crew, and we had a heavy equipment operator. Let's call him Ed, and he drank the whole day.
Yeah.
He would drink beers in the morning and switch to liquor about 3 or 4 o'clock, and he was the best equipment operator. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I understand. But like the thing about drug testing for weed is it's in your system for 30 days. So just because I smoked a joint
Right.
28 days ago, I can't drive a forklift. That seems like
Yeah.
a fucking dumb system. I don't know.
Right. Anyway,
I think it's all
sorry,
insurance
go ahead.
companies. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of football, and one of the reasons, by the way, we should legalize weed for pain management because, like, my neighbor was in pill rehab, and there were 2 NFL players in there for doing heroin. So yeah, they should be allowed to take weed. But speaking of football, Brett Favre, small update on him. He put out a statement today to Fox News, of course. He denies wrongdoing in the Mississippi State welfare case. I've been unjustly smeared in the media. The media did it, Trey.
Yeah.
Brett Favre's own text messages where he's planning to do welfare fraud.
Right. It's like you would think if anyone should have learned by now that, like, people can find out about your text messages. You know what I mean?
Unless you're Tom Brady. Unless you smash your phone.
Right, but it would be Brett Favre after all the whole dick pic scandal. It's just wild that it's like he just keeps sending incriminating text messages and then acting like surprised and whatnot. Yeah, it's just it's a real goddamn shame about Brett Favre. I don't know what else to say about it. I was a huge fan when I was a kid. But he's a big old piece of shit. So what else can you say?
I didn't even make this connection, but another former football player, Herschel Walker. So his story keeps getting worse and worse and fucking worse. And this is just sad, but the contours of his relationship to the woman whose abortion he paid for it became more clear. It turns out that he pressured her for the first abortion he paid for, and they kept dating like another 2 years, and she got pregnant again, and he tried to get her to have an abortion the second time. She said no, and that's what ended the relationship. But he kept denying it, so the woman kept getting madder and madder and madder, and actually had a text message. He started exchanging texts with Herschel's current wife, whereas that can't be going good for him. But they showed the reporter text messages from Herschel to the kid, and this is like, let me read from I'll read from the article. So he just texted the kid, "Love you," but just 2 words, "love you," fairly constantly. That's sweet, I guess. But Walker sent that same "love you" message to his son frequently, no matter how many times it went unanswered. Sometimes the child would write short notes back, inviting Walker to a baseball game, wishing him happy Easter, sending a photo of himself with gifts, which I assume Herschel sent. Pace accelerated in 2021 when Walker's gearing up to announce his candidacy. Then this summer, he sent him 7 love you messages, then nothing else. The boy replied, "You too," once. The boy invited his father to watch him play baseball, and Walker would say he would like to see him play, but last time Walker saw his son was January of 2016. Then between July 1st and October 11th, Walker sent his son 34 unanswered brief text messages. All but 6 say "love you," and they all come between midnight, 3:41 in the morning, so I'm assuming he's hammered. And then the son lost it and snapped back at him. On October 13th, he wrote back, "What's my favorite color? What grade am I in? How old am I?" And Walker responded the next afternoon, "God bless you, love you." Then Walker would text him again for a month. So yeah, total deadbeat, absentee father. I mean, he has some court-ordered child support, I gather, but a kid asks you, "What's my birthday?" and you just don't respond for a day and just say, "Love you, God bless." God bless is Southern for goodbye, by the way. If you don't know.
It just seems like it's like I don't know, almost worse than just not being there at all. Because he is not being there at all, but still doing this like superficial, texting bullshit type. I just have zero patience for this type of thing from anybody. But especially someone in a high profile running for office situations. Yeah, Herschel Walker could not appear to be a bigger piece of shit to me. So, we'll see how it turns out.
It did remind me one time my dad had a few drinks and we were talking. I said something about being glad fifth grade was almost over. And he goes, "No, wait, you're in fourth grade." And I go, "No, I'm not." He argued with me about what grade I was in for like half an hour. So that was a fun memory for me to have. My dad was around though; he was in my life and took care of me. So it's not like I'm not at all throwing my dad under the bus. It was just a fun story. Last thing before we get Elon Musk is a fucking idiot, but he's a useful idiot to Vladimir Putin apparently. This news story came out today. Elon Musk spoke to Putin before tweeting Ukraine peace plan report. So Elon Musk tweeted out a peace plan for Ukraine that is totally unworkable because it was a good idea basically 3 months ago, but now things are so different that you can't just. His plan was basically to give half of Ukraine to Russia and have Ukraine declare they're neutral between NATO. Yada yada yada. Anyway, the important part here is like. I got to say, Elon denies this, even though the reporter talked to Elon, who confirmed it before he printed it. But when he saw the reaction, then he denied. Anyway, in fact, it doesn't matter. This reporter is totally credible. I've never seen no reason to believe him. He's been credible for like two decade long career. I just want to point out here that Elon is a government contractor with a fucking security clearance. So him running his own foreign policy with the president of Russia is a problem.
Yeah, it's also like he just like. He truly believes that like with any given problem, he's like, well, it's up to me to fix this. You know what I mean? He's like, I got to be the one to solve the greatest geopolitical crisis of the past 30 years or whatever, because who else is going to do it if not me, Elon Musk, It's my duty and my burden to save the world from itself at every opportunity. Like, he really believes that shit.
Remember the Thai cave rescue when he kept trying to retrofit Teslas into submarines, and the cave divers kept telling him, like, look, the path's so narrow, we have to take off our scuba tanks and push them through and then follow them at certain points. You had to get up and walk like half a mile in dry cave and then dive again. And he's like, nope, I'm making fucking submarines. And when a guy kept saying it wouldn't work, he called him a pedophile.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, also in Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainian military communications are being run on Starlink, which is, Elon's sky destroying satellite network. He made a big show that he was donating it at the beginning of the war to help Ukraine, but it turns out it's being paid for by the U.S. government. But there was a story last week that Ukrainian advances were happening so fast they outran their Starlink coverage when they entered into like the Far East and the Crimea, which is the regions that Elon Musk is now saying he agrees with Vladimir Putin should go to Russia. And I'm just wondering now if that's actually what fucking happened.
Right.
Or did he turn them off because he fucking wants to help? Right? It's like, this guy's so compromised. Like, he's trying to take over Twitter, and business interests are so big in China. They basically would be giving over a big chunk of the American internet to control the Chinese China, which is not fucking good. Anyway, fuck Elon Musk.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. With us, as always, is producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. I want to remind you, of course, a couple things. Number one, if you'd like to see me perform live, then you should go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. Got plenty in the coming months in 2023 and adding more all the time. So come and see me. TreyCrowder.com. Number two, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to full-length bonus episodes. We're recording another one this week. We're having fun with it. We hope you'll consider going to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can just go on Patreon and look me up. Either way works. Sign up on there, get some more skews in your life. Now, as for the show tonight, there's a recent trend in the business world where investors are trying to profit off of anti-wokeness, but so far it doesn't seem to be working out exactly as they had planned. We'll have some fun with that here shortly, but first, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, Fred from Scooby-Doo for not being sexy enough to turn Velma back to God's light.
This is kind of really offensive on the level that we're disrupting these beloved characters.
There's no innocence. You can't have a moment of just fun without an agenda.
I'm waiting for them to tell us that Scooby and Shaggy shared more than a Scooby snack in that, mystery mobile.
Shaggy, don't Shaggy.
Well, whatever it was. But what other beloved characters are they going to sexualize next, Laura? This is
So, okay. So, like, how mad they continuously get about cartoons is funny to me. Also, Corey was doing on stage this weekend. He was referencing this, and Corey's whole thing was like, pretty sure I knew at 9 years old Velma was a lesbian. Like, this don't feel that new to me. I feel like she's always been a lesbian. And also the dog thing. It's like that's an old go-to for them too. When like anytime gayness comes up, they throw in a like, what's next? We're gonna be marrying dogs. Like it's like they go straight from gay to dog fucking pretty easily, I feel like, which is an odd leap to make so continuously the way that they do.
Especially because the big hole flaw in the logic there is that dogs can't consent, except for Scooby, who can because he can talk.
Ruh-roh. Yeah.
So if Scooby and Shaggy are into it, what the fuck? What interest is it in mine? But anyway, Scooby's not even in the new Scooby-Doo, my understanding. Anyway, what they're talking about is there was a viral clip from the movie. It went viral on right-wing social media, where the extent of her lesbianness is she sees a cute woman and does the heart's eyes hubba hubba thing. That's
it's like they did that with Lightyear too, and Corey was talking about this, but they got super upset about Lightyear, the Pixar movie, because it had lesbian characters in it. And that scene from that movie, because I watched the movie, it's like 2 seconds long. It's nothing. It's like two, women being married, but not like, they're not getting down in front of young Buzz Lightyear or nothing like that. Not scissoring in front of a Woody doll or nothing. It's pretty harmless. Most sane people would agree, I think. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like all this type of shit. They get so ginned up over it. It's funny. It's also
stupid, but it's also the degree in which they never think about stuff. Like when they were mad about the Predator going woke by having Native American characters, and they weren't American at the time, just Native characters. It's like the original Predator was about a special forces unit operating in South America illegally who were lied to about the point of their mission to kill rebels who they had no actual beef with. It's like it was anti meddling in South American propaganda in the 80s. You just didn't notice it. And think about Scooby-Doo. It's a bunch of stone hippies traveling around with literally living off the land in a van, taking down a bunch of small business tyrants who are abusing their workers and shit. So
that's fine. I mean, you're right. I laughed because it's like that's a funny way to describe Scooby-Doo, but is also completely accurate. That's exactly what Scooby-Doo was.
Yeah,
very anti-capitalist Scooby-Doo, anti-capitalism propaganda.
People should pay attention to what they're watching a little more, I think.
Yeah,
like they did it with the new. They're turning Alien into a series. I don't know if there's a sequel or reboot or whatever. And they got Noah Hawley's show running it.
Ooh,
the guy that did.
All right, fuck yeah, I'm fully on board with that. I hadn't even heard about it.
But he talked about the show's gonna be anti-capitalist, and people got mad. I was like, did you not get that the first movie was anti? It's literally
Paul Reiser's character in Alien, the corporate. Yeah, that's the whole fucking thing. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, I mean, again, we were talking on the Well Read podcast about like how people misinterpret Rage Against the Machine, or like get mad at them for being political. So there's nothing too stupid. No point they can't miss or misinterpret. All right, our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass: Washington and Lincoln for being rhinos, evidently, according to a new poll, as referenced right here.
I remember a very famous pollster, very well-known, John McLaughlin, came to my office just prior to the plague coming in. He said, "Sir, if George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came alive from the dead and they formed a president, vice president team, you would beat them by 40%.
There's a lot going on there.
No goddamn funny to me. That's just like that's peak distilled Trump shit right there, dude. You can't hardly get more Trump than that clip.
Yeah. It's I like the part. One of my favorite parts when he almost forgets Abraham Lincoln's last name.
Yeah.
Then he also calls COVID the plague, which I thought it was fake. But anyway, moving on from that, I was thinking about how like American history gets flattened into they become these cartoon characters and no actual beliefs. They're just great men. But the idea that Lincoln and Washington would agree on political issues is so fucking funny to me. Like Lincoln said, "I want to free slaves." George Washington would have hit him in the head with a brick.
Right. Yes. So, and like, you know, like, yeah, they probably wouldn't make the best candidates in 2022, either of those guys, if we're being honest, you know. Don't even think about bringing up Indians or the French or I guess they were cool with the French, but yeah, who knows what else, but yeah, it probably wouldn't work. But it's like it's just perfect Trump shit. Like he's like, you know, it's basically like a lot of people are saying, a lot of very smart people are saying that if the two greatest American presidents of all time were here today, I'd stomp their ass. A lot of people are saying it. They're telling me this. We're all hearing it. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's fucking perfect.
Also, the Whiskey Rebellion was sort of like the January 6th of its time, and George Washington sent the military to wreck their shit. So there you go. Another Trump news. This story was out today. So Trump is apparently, his super PACs raised a bunch of money to ostensibly help with elections, but instead he spent it all on his own legal defense. So that really hit for me. The numbers here. He's still sending out a bunch of emails saying it's imperative that we win in big in November. And I'm not sure at what point this becomes fraud. I think, to me, it's pretty clearly fraud now. But how the government defines fundraising, it's all mixed up with the First Amendment and campaign finance regulation, which we don't really do. But he raised let me do the math in my head right here. Math don't hit for me. About $18 million. He spent 8.4 of it on actual election-related activities, and spent $7 million of it as on legal defense. Another $2 million falling to nonprofits, which employ 4 members of his staff, like Mark Meadows. If Trump was a Democratic plant to destroy the Republican Party, how different would this look?
Right. Yeah.
Every fucking, we're going to talk about the Senate races in a few minutes, but every nominee he pushed through, like Herschel, like Oz, like Blake Masters, like J.D. Vance, are fumbling away what should have been very winnable races for them. A couple of them might still win, which is scary, but it should have been a lot easier if they just nominated. Go to the Chamber of Commerce and throw a dart and nominate the guy you hit, and they would have cakewalked to wins. But this, someone made it. I was looking at footage. I didn't end up using it for the show, but Illinois gubernatorial debate, and the Democratic governor incumbent kept tying his opponent to Trump. And somebody made the point that they're treating Trump like he's an unpopular incumbent, like he's actually still the president, and it's working because he's like dead weight around these guys' necks. And Matt sent me this polling data earlier. Trump is 20 points underwater with independent men right now, so he's not helping at all. And to that, I say thank you, Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, that's like, you know, it was Lindsey Graham, right, who said back in 2016, something to the effect of, if we let this happen, he will ultimately destroy the Republican Party or whatever. So it's like some of them knew at the time. And then also that's what that whole controversial Democratic strategy was about, right? Was this exact idea, like propping up the Trumpiest candidates because he's such an albatross to everybody except for, the Red Hat Brigade, except for his base.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it probably helped Fetterman win in Pennsylvania and Josh Shapiro win in Pennsylvania, but it might push Republican secretaries of state who are election deniers over the line in places like Arizona and Nevada. And I'm not sure how a Democrat was going to win the presidency in 2024 if that happens. If they won't certify the results. I don't know. Would you send in the National Guard and make them certify the results at gunpoint? I don't know,
dude. The idea of that, being a much bigger shit show, next time around is not a calming or encouraging thought. But all right,
that's why God invented whiskey, Trey.
Yeah, got that right. All right, the next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is women for being, unfortunately, unable to make difficult decisions and forcing us men to have to do it for them, which we would really prefer not to do.
Now, let's discuss what the Supreme Court did and didn't do. The Supreme Court, all they did was said there is no right to an abortion in the Constitution, which then pushed this issue down to the states.
Sure, that's
Now, look,
correct.
I get it. If you're a woman, it stinks that most of these legislatures are men. Most of these decisions are made by men. I wish it were other than that. I wish, as a man, I didn't have to make this decision. I wish women could make this decision. And that being,
it's like really
His
this whole
opponent-
thing is women's fault if you think about it. Like they're the ones forcing us to do this for their own good, you know. And
Dude,
it's a shame. It's the burden we all carry, being forced to make decisions for women. But what are you going to do? There's no other choice in the state of Utah, I guess. Which that's where that guy's at, right? That's Utah.
Yeah, that's John Curtis. He's the rep for Utah's 3rd Congressional District, which he has been since 2017. He took over Josh Chaffetz, who was that super Trumpy guy who left to go work for Fox News. This guy, he's weird. So he was a super popular mayor of Provo. And his big thing was like sort of like environment. Like, first I want to point out, when they went to this 2-shot, his opponent's face really hit for me because I don't think he knew it was on camera. And he was looking at him like,
yeah. No, yeah, it was great. Like he was like, fucking what? Like,
are you cutting a campaign ad for me right now? What the fuck is that? So his big thing in Provo was like a lot of like environmental stuff, assuming not for left wing reasons, but probably because Provo's got a cool skyline, they get tourism money for skiers and shit. But he originally ran for a state senate as a Democrat, and then he lost 66-33. And so, nope, being a Democrat don't hit for me in Utah. So he changed party.
right.
Anyway, I don't know what this guy believes in. I like his trying to be like, ladies, I wish you were in the legislature too. But since you're not, I have to take away abortion because I got elected. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Do you know how tired I get of always having to make decisions for all my wives, all the time? I look around at them and I'm like, could you guys please do some of this? But, they just lack the capacity. So, we got to do what we got to do.
Run for office, women, please.
All right. Our next honorable mention: 5-month-old babies for not being able to defend themselves, according to who else? J.D. Vance.
On the Lindsey Graham bill, my view on this is, generally speaking, Ohio is going to want to have different abortion laws than California, than Texas, and I think Ohio should have that right. But some minimum national standard is totally fine with me. We're talking about 5-month-old babies. On the Lindsey
We're aborting 5-month-olds now. God damn, keeps getting crazier and crazier out here in these streets. That's I know they talk about late-term abortions, but goddamn.
Yeah, I think abortion should be perfectly legal from 1st, 2nd, 3rd trimesters. Then once the kid's born, he gets to be alive until he's like 14. Then after 14, you can decide again until he's 18.
Yeah, I think there's probably some parents out there who would sign up for that legislation. Yeah. It's the classic philosophy of mothers all over the country. I think I brought you into this world, I could take you out of it. It's not legally true, but yeah.
No,
probably vote for that.
Well, I'm not the president. Vote for me. We'll still work on it. So that was from Tim Ryan, JD Vance's debate last night, and I know I'm biased, but I don't think it went well for JD, who, of course, was born with the charisma of like a sea slug. But he also that construction, by the way, we're going to have different laws and abortion in California and Texas and our state. I saw like a bunch of debates happen this week, and Republicans are going to that. They must have had somebody wrote that for them because all of them are using it. And I just want to say that I can see you all copied and pasted the same language into your speeches, and you're not fooling anybody. So Ryan had a couple clips go viral where he absolutely embarrassed Vance for being a Trump stooge. He talked about JD Trump being on stage at a JD Vance rally, talking about this guy used to be against me, but now he kisses my ass all the time. And
then JD got up there and hugged it out with it. It was like, I'm having such a great time. Aren't we all having a great time? After Trump just disrespected him to his face in front of everybody there.
So that was embarrassing, and it was smart for Ryan to bring it up. But also, he had this pretty good clip that I thought was actually I'm not sure if you can shame these people, so I'm not sure to what extent shame works. But this is a pretty pithy line that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it rhymes. So I'm sticking.
I'm for Ohio. I don't kiss anyone's ass like him. Ohio needs an ass kicker, not an ass kisser.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's essentially for a political debate. That's basically the end of 8 Mile. So there you go.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
For the record, Ryan is losing 3.5 points by 3.5 points right now to that fucking dickhead. Maybe the debate will help. I don't know how many people still let them decide. Ohio's been a thoroughly red state for a while now, so it's an uphill climb for him. So I don't think it's necessarily a huge failure by him personally if he loses. It would just suck for the country. Checking in on other Senate campaigns to see how they're going. Here's a fun little headline from a couple days ago. Dr. Oz delivers speech in front of Hitler's car.
It's so fun. We talk about it all the time. It's like, how hard is it to avoid associations with Hitler? You know, it seems to be pretty difficult for a huge number of conservative politicians and hopefuls because it just keeps coming up.
Yeah, this was a fundraiser hosted in California by Matt Gaetz's in-laws, at which Jordan Peterson zoomed in to give a speech. So everything's going well for Dr. Oz. You got Hitler, you got Matt Gaetz, his wife who overlooked his underage sex trafficking, and Jordan Peterson, who talks about how woke liberals have made lobsters gay or whatever on the internet. And by the way, Fetterman's only up 3.5% according to the latest polling, so it's totally within reach for Oz. So if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in Philadelphia, vote definitely. But if you're in Pennsylvania, go vote. I do not want to see Dr. Oz all over my TV. As much as we could use the content, I would love for us to not have enough content on this show and be able to quit, so America would be more sane. That would be fucking nice. Yeah.
Our final honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is all those teenage litter box pooping furries out there for refusing to go away, even though no one can seem to find them.
Yes.
I want to read you a quote from earlier this week on talk radio. It was, "Have you heard about this story, kids identifying as cats? It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's happening all over Colorado, and schools are tolerating it." Where are you getting that, and do you believe that's true?
Well, I'm out on the campaign trail talking to parents every day, and this is this really weird phenomenon that's happening in middle schools and high schools. It's actually been going on for a couple of years. It's called furries. And kids are...
Fur has been going on for a couple of years straight.
They're struggling. So I have a lot of compassion for kids that are having difficulty right now, but schools tolerating kids dressing up as cats is not appropriate.
Have you seen any specific examples of this, though, or not?
Many. And all the parents across the Denver metro area, at least.
Oh, you got it.
And that's just, yeah. And that's how that always works for that. Like, it's all the same. It's all just a bunch of this ladies, like on Facebook or talking to each other at these events or whatever, and all just saying the same thing as far as like, you believe this is happening? No, I hear about it all the time. And it's like, it's just them saying it to each other. And they're like, yeah, but specific examples. Oh, everywhere. It's everywhere. Haven't you heard? Everybody's saying it.
You know that screensaver with the ball bouncing around?
Yeah.
It's this idea of bouncing between all these different PTA moms, and none of them knows who started it or when it's going to end. And that's Heidi Ganahl, by the way. We talked about her before a couple weeks ago when she waded into this pool. And the only reason I wanted to talk about her again is because she's the first one to keep pushing it. Like every other one has been like, I heard about these furries, and somebody goes, actually, no, that's fucking stupid. That never actually happened. And they go, oh, my bad. I was mistaken. And because they get embarrassed. She's made it the central issue of the closing message of her campaign.
Right.
She is talking about nothing but furries in schools. If you're wondering, her current position is she's in 2016, she was elected to the Board of Regents for the University of Colorado. So she's already an education official. And the effects of this, I wanted to talk about this. They interviewed the people. So the reporters keep asking her about this because she keeps talking about it. She keeps saying she's gathering information to be released. I do want to say that Coloradoans hit for me because a bunch of them are up in their Twitter mentions, sending pictures of pictures of their kids in Halloween dressed like frogs and shit, saying, here's some evidence. So that's fun. But they talked to the educators because reporters called around to a bunch of school districts to kind of get some actual information. Like, is this happening? And they're like, no, it's not fucking happening. And here's a quote from the executive director of the Colorado Association of School Executives. The claims are exhausting, he said. Our educators have been so focused on having a normal school year going through. We're focused on all that lost time kids had over the last few years, and here we are. School districts are spending time chasing down storylines that are purely for political gain. They have nothing to do with what kids are experiencing at school, and it's shock and awe. It's just incredibly frustrating. And here's the money quote. When you throw this on top of it, it's coming to be the top of the list why people are saying, I don't know why I even want to do this anymore. Politicizing the daily instructions of school and the daily work of a school is rousing up the list of why people are questioning why they want to be in this profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't like that. Like, it's been like teachers have been underpaid and treated like shit for a very long time, and have still like shown up to do the job and everything. And it's like, and it was already a hard enough and thankless enough and undercompensated enough job before they all latch or like laser focus their particular brand of insanity on the teacher's career, on the school system and school boards in the classroom. And now that that's happened, I can't even fucking imagine, dude. All the bullshit they already had to put up with, and then you add these people's brand of insane bullshit on top of that. That's fucking horrible. It's horrible. My heart goes out to any teachers out there, because that's just straight up unfair.
Yeah, my mom was, and my sister is a teacher in a poor rural district of primary school, both of them. And you don't make jack shit for money. The whole upside is you like spending time with the kids and teaching the kids. And then you have a parent-teacher conference, and an asshole parent comes in and goes, show me where the litter box is. And you're like, there's no fucking litter box. And they're like, I know it's here. It's like, how do you convince somebody that something doesn't exist? You can't do it. So like, it is the groomer panic, the fucking CRT bullshit, the fact they're underpaid. Now they're going to answer questions about litter boxes. I just want to
all
teach
the COVID
math,
shit. The COVID shit too was huge with the vaccines and masks and all that stuff. It's like they've really gone in on the school boards in particular recently, because somebody's got to think of the children, Mark. That's why. Anyway, let's talk about the anti-wokeness industry.
Yeah.
How it's
going. The main thing we're talking about is a new right-wing dating app that is just hilarious in every aspect. But before we get there, this anti-wokeness branding is a really interesting thing, because it continues not working, but rich people have so much money, they keep throwing money at it. Specifically, we're talking about Peter Thiel. And the first thing he's in the news for this week, Peter Thiel, we talked about it a bunch before. He's the guy bankrolling J.D. Vance's and Blake Masters campaigns in Alaska and Ohio. He's a crazy right-wing Silicon Valley psycho, made all his money on PayPal. If you watch this show Silicon Valley, that storyline where the billionaire was paying a blood boy to take his blood to inject him to make him younger, that's based upon a rumored anecdote about Peter Thiel. I don't know if it's been confirmed as true or not, but there are rumors on Silicon Valley that he injects himself with the blood of young boys. Anyway, that's who we're talking about. So he funded this startup bank called Glorify, Phi as in finance. And they're going to be branded as anti-woke, which I don't know what bank is woke. HSBC is literally launders drug money. I'm not sure.
I know, dude. That was the main thing I thought when I saw this. It's like, oh yes, the famously over liberal and woke finance industry, known for always shoving their high moral standards down regular Americans' throats. The finance industry. Yeah, fucking, they have no morals or standards. It's like all I care about is what fucking makes a profit and what doesn't, and I thought everybody knew that. There's nothing fucking woke about big banking. Like, I don't know, so dumb.
Maybe Bank of America made a commercial with an interracial couple in it or something.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, probably that.
So they had ran into a couple problems. One of the big ones was, let me quote from the article, it stumbled with products. For instance, a plan to make a credit card out of the same material used for shell casings failed when the company realized the material could interfere with security chips and potentially be too thick for payment terminals.
Yeah, you got setting off like metal detectors and secure like scanners and stuff like that. It's like, do you have ammunition in there? It's like, no, it's just my Patriot card, sir. Never leave home without it.
One of their financial products was going to be like homeowners insurance, where they were going to give a 10% discount to gun owners. Now, I want to think about the implications of that for a minute.
Right.
If you shoot someone in your house and get sued, you're going to need a good insurance plan, and one that gives people a cheaper rate for gunning people down is not exactly a good business practice, but I'm not a business genius like Peter Thiel. But while we're talking about Peter Thiel, one of his other things he's been working on is a dating app he financed. It's called with the right stuff. All right. And it got a pretty big rollout push. Here's a puff piece written about it in Newsweek's gone full right-wing rag. I don't know if you've noticed, but nobody cares. It used to be a magazine I liked to read when I was a kid. And I was a fucking kid who read Newsweek. I'm that fucking nerdy. So this is written by Bethany Mandel, who's a real psycho. Quote, Peter Thiel's new dating app for conservatives, The Right Stuff, is already making waves. No, it's not. Last week, the app released an ad full of interviews with conservative women who were asked what they're looking for in a man. They all seem to concur. Shared values, specifically a shared faith, a desire to have kids, and an interest in family life. I want you to watch this video she's looking at and tell me if you see the big problem with her takeaway from watching this video.
Yeah. Let's hit it, Matt. The ad for what's it called? The Right Stuff. Yes. This is the rollout with real conservative women just voicing their opinion about the dating scene. Mm-hmm. Do we have it? Yes, we do. Remember, start in the middle there, Matt. 32.
Today. That's real long.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Right there. Right there.
Who actually wants to meet my parents?
Why do you want to date a conservative?
For me, at least I know that we're going to start off with some shared values.
Well, the conservative men I've dated at least know how to treat me like a woman.
In my personal experience, conservative guys have better manners.
I like that they understand their role in the relationship as a man.
I just prefer my men to be masculine.
And what's the biggest red flag when it comes to dating?
A Democrat.
No Democrats.
A Democrat.
Can't be a Democrat.
A Democrat.
I didn't cut it, Matt. They all just say Democrats 40 times. Mm-hmm. So these are actors.
Right.
They're reading a script, and she's treating them like they're honest testimonials. And that fucking made me laugh so hard. And one reason you know they're actors is, one, there's commercial casting, so they all look very different. There's a rainbow coalition of people. Like, there's not...
Right.
Randomly selected groups of people do not look like they were cast. And also, I know they're actors because I've seen enough commercial auditions to know that real actors are terrible on camera. I mean, people that aren't actors are terrible on camera in general. They're all very charming and good. I don't think I paid very well for this because it's going to follow in the rest of their lives, like that episode of Friends where Joey accidentally did like a gonorrhea ad. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, but yeah, why do you want to date a conservative? It's like, I just want a man who knows how to keep me in my place. Namely, the kitchen. I like a man who knows how to demand a sandwich from me. Knows what to do when I start getting too mouthy. That's what I'm looking for in a man.
Do you feel unmasculine because you're left wing, Trey?
I wouldn't say it's because I'm left wing. I don't feel unmasculine always, but I do sometimes when it comes to like, when the toilet fucks up or whatever. I'm like, God damn it, I should know how to do more stuff.
Katie, come fix this.
Yeah, that's what happens. She fixes the toilet while I make cookies, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. How everybody's marriage works.
I'll still have sex with my wife, how not masculine is that? Conservatives.
Their ideas about masculinity are so weird. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene did a big thing a couple weeks ago about how Pete Buttigieg wants to emasculate your car, essentially talking about fuel mile standards and stuff. It's like I don't feel like my dick gets smaller if I drive a smaller car, but that's just me. But like they're all in on this shit. Nick Adams, that right wing influencer, is going a real bender all week about how like real men eat steak and get off the lattes and eat a steak. It's like, okay, whatever. They did cut another ad that actually it's not nearly as, this one's clearly a sketch, so maybe Bethany Mandel won't be fooled by it. But yeah, this is pretty funny on a Papal kind of wavelength if you want to watch it.
Most common mistake men make when approaching women, but most have no clue that they're making it. See, every time a guy approaches me, one of three scenarios.
Get the ad, Matt.
No, it was about I must have grabbed
the dating world is
so
crazy.
This is it.
The other night, I went out with this guy, and I was like, what are your thoughts on kids? And he said, I'm not going to have any kids. I feel like it's the worst thing you can do for the environment. Yeah, that's when I knew it wasn't gonna work out.
You know, I had a similar experience. This guy seemed normal on his profile. But when we went out, he asked, "Oh, do you mind paying? I left my gift card in my other fanny pack."
Corey wears fanny
I didn't even
packs.
get to go on my
Yeah,
Just so everybody
so my
knows.
wife.
Sorry I'm late.
I love how they
the
gave
butt
them.
pics if
I
you wanna
get
get
that
wild.
Yeah.
I get that the
No one likes
device
bad dates. Download the right
is
stuff
that
to.
the women are telling the story, but it's funny how they gave all the dudes lady voices and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just yeah, it's a bit much. Again, I just want to see that. We should do the opposite of this sketch where it's like women going on dates with like, conservative rednecks from my hometown or shit like that, and seeing how those play out.
Yeah.
But
how would it go, Trey? Give me a beat.
I don't know.
I'm putting on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I put myself on the spot by saying it. Oh, I already did it earlier. I just, the same, just want to make the same jokes I already made.
Yeah, I bet it. Honestly, I bet it hits for Katie that you make good cookies. So there you go.
Fucking better.
So the problem is they stood up this app and they sent out you have to join by invitation only. So they got like a real refined user base. So people have managed to get on. I'll read a couple reviews from this app after its soft launch. It's a good app, but there's no women. 1 star. Unsafe. I answered the question by January 6th. Honestly, the next day I have 2 police officers at my door telling me they got a call alleging that I was involved in domestic terrorism. 1 star. Scam. I'm just your average conservative who just wants to find someone with the same views as me and not that pronoun stuff. But I was surprised to see this app is actually more liberal than I can imagine. There are conservatives out there who aren't Christian. I hate this app. 1 star. No women on this site. 1 star. All right. So yeah, it's not working for some pretty straightforward reasons. And the Daily Beast did an article about this. And they launched it in DC, which is probably not a good idea because there are a ton of like real hardcore conservatives in DC, and the ones that are work for politicians. So they all already know each other and they're connected professionally. So would you want to be on an app that's all your professional acquaintances? I fucking wouldn't.
Right.
So they
and I don't know shit about dating apps for obvious reasons, but I read an article and I thought this was the case. Like you can just put your political beliefs is already a way you can like use regular dating apps. Like all the standard dating apps, you can filter by that shit. You can identify politically and filter them as such and all that shit. So like, I mean, what is the difference even supposed to be in this?
Yeah, you can figure out somebody's basic worldview pretty quickly by asking them a few questions about how they feel about stuff.
I mean, especially conservatives, like they tend to pretty much wear it on their sleeves or the flag tattoo where a sleeve should be or whatever. But yeah,
my neighbor went on a date, like a hinge date with a guy like a month or 2 ago, and within like 5 minutes he was talking about anti-trans stuff. She's like, okay, I don't think this is going to work.
Right?
Like they don't exactly hide their beliefs. So they asked this quote from a woman who's a Republican operative, who pretty much sums it up. It's all Mitch McConnell's staffers on the fucking app. These people don't hit for each other to such a comical degree. Like, who would want to date a Mitch McConnell staffer? Oh, it says a Republican. So, but they fucked us up so badly they couldn't even get the name right. They have already in a legal dispute with another dating service that's also called The Right Stuff that's been around for decades. They didn't even Google dating out The Right Stuff to see if they had a good original name. They've already been hit. They're going to be hit with a cease and desist letter. This quote from the other dating app's lawyer said, their dating service is for people who have higher levels of education, and many of them are left wing, so they don't like the confusion.
Yeah.
They also share a name with a white nationalist website, so that probably won't confuse anybody. So yeah, it's 2 ways that Peter Thiel already fucking fumbled the bag on this. Getting back to Peter Thiel, because it's conservative, the invite-only app will only permit heterosexual matches at the outset. So Peter Thiel, who happens to be gay, is therefore funding a project he wouldn't be able to use.
Right.
Another problem with it, with pitching an online dating app for conservatives, is it furthers the Enlightenment, which doesn't hit for them. They asked one person why they didn't like using it and said the internet seems to interfere with biological tendencies like men courting women. This isn't like Alexa telling you the weather. You can't upend the natural mating process and call it traditional. All right, they're trying to sell fucking computers to cavemen, so good luck with that. They interviewed this woman Here's a conservative who was excited about the dating app, but she has a few ideas for pitches. Her name's Savannah Dudzik. She's hopeful for a more positive experience. Let me start here. She said she's historically disliked dating apps such as Catholic Match, partly because men on the platform were just looking to hook up. She was hopeful for a more positive experience with the right stuff, serious romance only, and excited to see it get off the ground. I think it's going to be a hit, but she hopes the app will ban right-wing males on the platform just looking for hookups. Now, if you don't want to date guys who are looking to get laid, I don't know if there's anything online or offline that's going to work out. Historically, the way it goes, the guy's trying to get laid, then he ends up in a
and then it just sort of relationship just sort of happened to him,
That's the natural flow of things.
Yeah.
And going back to why they started in DC, something like you'll hear, anybody who's watched any stand-up comedy will hear people talk about how hard it is to date in LA, and it's sort of true, but the reason is it's a company town like DC. People are not here to build lives and make relationships. They deploy themselves here to try to get a career started. And if it doesn't work out, they know they're going home in general, right? DC is the same way. Political operatives graduate college, they go there to get a job as a Senate campaign aide. And when the campaign happens, they're on the road and they're back, or they're taking a job in a gubernatorial office. They're not there looking for long-term relationships. So anyway, I'm not a business genius like Peter Thiel, but maybe it's an idea. So they've been having trouble getting people to get on it. So one of their big ideas was to hire Ryan McEnany, who happens to be Kaylee McEnany's little sister. She has like 140,000 IG followers, which is funny to me because that qualifies her as an influencer to them. Which 140,000 isn't some tremendous amount, but they probably paid her a chunk of money for this. So here's a video she made for it. If you want to cue that up, Matt, you got it.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan. I've got to tell you about something I am so excited to announce. A dating app for all of us conservatives. It's called The Right Stuff, and it's launching this September. What I love.
I just wanted to establish what kind of influencer hits for them. She got no personality, no game. I'm not sure what's happening. So her IG posts weren't working. So instead what they had her do was DM, send direct messages to a bunch of conservatives that she knew lived in DC. And they got screen grabbed and passed around by people making fun of her. So that didn't work. And one of them gave a DM to the Daily Beast. And a quote here from it is, "Hi, I work with John McEntee's team on an exclusive conservative dating app called The Right Stuff. Yada, yada, yada." Anyway, so it was funny to me that she used John McEntee like people knew who he was. Because if you know who John McEntee is, you're either a hardcore news consumer like me or an absolute fucking psycho. And if you're the first type, he probably doesn't hit for you. If you're the second type, you don't want to date anybody who knows and admires John McEntee. So Peter Thiel bankrolled this, but John McEntee is the founder and CEO. He made his name as a political advisor in the White House Presidential Personnel Office in the Trump administration. Before that, he was Trump's body man, a personal aide, until he was fired by John Kelly in 2018. McEntee had failed a security clearance background check, was under investigation by the Homeland Security Department for possible financial crimes related to gambling. That part seemed funny to me because when he was in college, he was the starting quarterback for University of Connecticut, who obviously has a gambling product. He's not that old. So this is just a couple years ago. So I'm wondering if he was fucking point shaving and shit. But anyway, after Kelly was dismissed, Trump rehired him and gave him a promotion. That's when he was director of Office of Presidential Personnel. He was a pretty powerful person because he was the one. Here's a quote from a profile of him. Trump knew he was the one person willing to do anything Trump wanted. He hired all of his friends and hired a bunch of pretty girls, including an Instagram influencer and a dance instructor to work at the White House. I'm sure they came in handy. But the main thing he did is he was in charge of the loyalty purge at the end of the Trump administration. They fired everybody who wouldn't pledge their undying loyalty. So if you're looking for somebody who's second or third most responsible for January 6th, it's probably this guy. This fucking guy in his mid-20s.
What was the terminology they used in the January 6th committee hearings? Or like team crazy or something like that. There was team normal, and team whatever. So this guy was like the quarterback of team crazy. Basically.
Yeah, he was a cop. He was a capo and underboss on Team Capo on Team Crazy. So I'll just read from this profile. McEntee and his enforcers made the disastrous last weeks of the Trump presidency possible. They backed the president's manic drive to overturn the election and helped set the stage for January 6th assault on the Capitol. Thanks to them, in the end, the elusive, quote, adults in the room, those who might have been willing to confront the president or try to control his most destructive tendencies, were silenced or gone. But McEntee was there, bossing around cabinet secretaries, decapitating the civilian leadership of the Pentagon, and forcing officials high and low to state their allegiance to Trump. So that's the guy who's organizing this dating app, which makes the next part of this really funny, because this isn't quite clearly is not an FBI op, because Peter Thiel would be bankrolling it if it was. But if it was, it would be a good one, because one of the prompts when you set up your profile is, quote, January 6th was blank. So I imagine even among conservatives, the answers to that question would be revelatory about the person's character, personality, or work. Right. Because it's like, if they say like an Antifa scam, you're like, okay, they're purely crazy. If they go, it was a glorious patriotic movement, you're like, okay, crazy. If they go, an unfortunate stain on President Trump's great legacy, you're like, it's sane, but too crazy for me. Right. You know, it's like, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good, like, sort of litmus test or whatever for their, you know, differentiating between the level of, you know, conservative crazy, I feel like. But also, apparently, it just gets the FBI all fired up, too.
Yeah, I think this review is a troll job, but I do want to read it because it hit for me. App asked about January 6th. I said I was there because I was. I'm a patriot. I get a call from an FBI agent the same day. Reads one review from a user under the name Big Chungus.
Big Chungus. Oh, all right. Thanks for putting that up there, Matt. Yeah, like and subscribe, everybody. Share, rate, and review, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. And Matt, if you've got, you know, a couple of comments for us, throw it up there. Sorry, we got to sort of lost track of time. But
yeah, that's my bad. But if you guys, specifically, if you have any ideas, we could pitch Peter Thiel to give us a couple $1 million to execute some horror.
Yeah, it's also funny that, like, he's bankrolling these ideas, but this one in particular, the guy in charge of it is a dude with a noted gambling problem. I didn't think of that. Like it just don't seem like he makes the soundest business decisions to me, Peter Thiel. But like you said, I'm not, you know. He's a billionaire and I'm not. So what do you know?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it'd be funny if like the user interface improves if he comes up big on FanDuel one week.
Right. Derek Duke says 2-hour show. Well, not tonight. Maybe in the future, a special edition or something. Jules T says, "What's your take on the LA Council racist rants? Did we talk about that, or was that pre-show you were talking?
We talked about pre-show. Yeah. So all those people were scumbags. I kind of wanted to talk about it because in one-party states, what happens is both parties are just inside the other party. Like it's like, so it's not like because LA is run by Democrats that they're all libs or left-wing. They're Republicans that run with a D next to their name. Like the case in point that possible next mayor was a Trump supporter named Rick Caruso who did fundraisers for Mitch McConnell and shit. He just registered Democrat a couple months ago when he decided he wanted to be mayor. So like, it's not. These people don't have any beliefs. They're all landlords and shit. And what I was telling Matt is like there's a lot of intra-Latino racism in here that I don't have a good understanding of to talk about authoritatively. But yeah, the stuff she said about other races, I clearly can recognize as racism. But yeah, these people, when the White House raised in on a city council scandal across the 3,000 miles away, it's a big fucking deal. And I hope this lady, she resigned as president of the city council. I lost track of whether she actually resigned from office yet. But yeah, I don't know. She sucks. Yeah. Nuri, I can't think of her last name right now.
No, yeah, well, it's sort of like we were saying earlier about the Hitler stuff. You know, how hard is it to avoid things of that nature? But apparently, for some people, it's, you know, real hard not to go on racist tirades all the time. Some people seem to have no real problem with it. Other people, though, really gets them by the horn.
They were on a Labor Federation phone call, like a conference call. So, like, if there's one group that's supposed to express solidarity with workers of all stripes,
yeah,
it's a labor union, a federation of labor unions. So,
yeah. All right. Well, hey, we have always said here at Skews that racism don't hit. Racism don't hit. Just so everybody knows, we got a straightforward anti-racism stance that I've long
Yeah.
held. All right. All right. That'll about do it, everybody. Remember, go to TreyCrowder.com. Come and see me live, adding new dates all the time. Go to weeklyskews.com/more to sign up for the Patreon of the show and get some bonus episodes and show us a little extra love. We appreciate it. And either way, at the very least, keep coming back here on Skews days because we very much appreciate it.